How are you all? Well, let people pop in. Happy Wednesday. What's up, you guys? Lots more good news today. It's always fun. Karen Bass. No, she didn't. Karen Bass, the mayor of Los Angeles. Hi, thank you for joining, you all. I just started, so I'm giving people just a few minutes to pop in. I just happened to stumble upon this clip of Karen Bass. Karen Bass is, hi, you guys. Back again. Hello. Karen Bass is the mayor of Los Angeles, and when the fire started in Los Angeles, she was in Africa. Was it Ghana where she was? I think she was in Ghana. Yeah, she was in Ghana celebrating the inauguration of the president there on a diplomatic trip. Even though it had been warned, or people had been warned for weeks that these winds were going to be horrible and that there was a fire risk in Los Angeles, and she still decided to go. That it was so important that she went to the inauguration of the president in Ghana. Well, now she was being interviewed. Hold on, here she is.
One by LA's Fire Commission.
Terrible not being here for my city.
I feel terrible not being here for my city, is what she says. Well, I think that people's issue was, what business does any mayor have going overseas for a president of another country's inauguration? That doesn't make any sense. You're not a diplomat, you're a mayor to a city.
Terrible.
Good evening, Glenn.
Not being here for my city.
LA Mayor Karen Bass gives us her first sit-down TV interview since the Palisades fire began. It opens up about traveling on a diplomatic mission to Ghana with dangerous winds in LA's forecast.
When I say it was a mistake, absolutely, the idea that I was not present was very painful.
We know that there was warning.
Yeah, it was a mistake. Why would you ever go? But here's the thing, it wasn't just a mistake, it was incompetence. They knew for at least days, I'm just being safe, I'll say days, but they knew for some time before the winds happened, they knew the winds were coming. It was also Karen Bass that cut the fire budget, and she was warned that cutting the fire budget was not going to be a good idea. There was a letter written to her from the fire department begging her not to cut the budget, and she did so anyway. So that's a lot of things piled on top of each other. It wasn't just oops, I happened to not be in town. This was a huge level of negligence, in my opinion.
Warnings about the weather before you went, and you still went. What was the thought process behind going to Ghana?
When the White House called and asked me if I would represent the president, I said yes. It was going to be a very, very short trip, over a weekend and 2 business days.
The mayor says LA Fire Chief Kristen Crowley did not call her to warn her in advance of the trip and didn't do the, quote, normal preparations for this kind of wind event.
So the president, hi, MacGyver. Okay, so that's interesting. The president called and had asked her to go on the trip on his behalf. How is that appropriate? Or why? That's just weird.
That type of preparation.
So she chose that over the people of her city, is essentially what she did.
Didn't happen. If that had, I will tell you, Alex, I wouldn't have even gone to San Diego, let alone leave the country.
But what do you mean there were warnings you weren't aware of? Because I know we were talking about it on the news. A lot of people were talking about the...
I told you, they were talking about it for at least days on the news. At least days.
problems, warning that this was going to be a huge...
So it didn't reach that level to me to say something terrible could happen and maybe you shouldn't have gone on the trip.
Why didn't
But
it
to
happen?
me, I don't know. I mean, I think that that's one of the things we need to look at.
There are now 2 investigations underway, one by LA's Fire Commission, another by the Fire Safety Research Institute.
Everything that happened, including that, needs to be examined.
Have you nothing to say today?
Bass returned from Ghana. She was ambushed by a Sky News reporter from Ireland. She didn't respond to him for several minutes, a clip that's been seen millions of times.
As soon as she got off the plane coming back to Los Angeles while the fires were happening, she was questioned, and she just, as to why she was in Ghana and if she felt that that was a good idea for her to be there, and she just stood there blank. She was unable to even answer anyone. Yeah, when is Kash Patel going to get confirmed? We'll look at that in a minute.
Position.
Yes, it was an ambush, and I wasn't sure who he was. And that is unfortunate because I see the way that looks, as though I was avoiding. But when you're getting off a plane and you've been on a plane 17 hours and somebody hits you with a camera, I wish in hindsight my response had been better.
This week, the LA Times quoted former fire officials saying that the fire department could have pre-deployed at least 10 additional engines to the Palisades. Did the city fail the residents of the Palisades?
Well, again, all of that has to be examined with experts.
What does accountability look like to you, and is it time that somebody be fired for this?
Well, again, I mean, I think it's premature to say now, but I do think that we have to examine everything, and that is going to take place very soon.
How do you assess the job performance of the chief of the fire department?
Well, I think that that's something that has to be assessed. I need to understand why things were handled differently this time than they've been handled before.
She's moving the blame to someone else. Exactly. There was no response, basically.
And why do you think that is?
I'm not sure.
We met up with Mayor Bass at the Impacted Worker and Family Recovery Center, now open in Culver City. It's one of 4 locations for those impacted by the fires.
And it doesn't matter where you live, where you're from, you can come here and get an array of resources, from direct cash assistance to unemployment, job assistance, training.
I asked, what's a realistic timetable for rebuilding the Palisades?
3 years would probably be the fastest, but probably it would be more like 5. So it really depends on the individual
long time.
circumstances.
The mayor told me she's committed to running for re-election in 2026 and winning over her critics. And they don't have faith that you can lead the city right now.
Well, you know
what do you
what?
say to those? What do you say to those
It is
critics?
my responsibility to disprove that.
Yeah.
It is my responsibility to prove
Good
that I
luck.
can lead, and I am, the rebuilding and the recovery process. Terrible.
Okay, so Karen Bass is going to be running for mayor of Los Angeles. Did they say 2026? Wow, that's pretty, okay, that's pretty confident. I have a feeling that's not going to happen. Most of the people in Los Angeles, including the people that voted for her, are not happy with her right now. Basically, nobody's happy. Yeah, but yeah, there will be a few people that will vote for her even still. And you know what's crazy? Rick Caruso, if he would have, someone said earlier, if Rick Caruso would have won, Los Angeles wouldn't be in that situation. I agree with that. Rick Caruso, and what's interesting about him, by the way, if you don't know who Rick Caruso is, he ran against, he ran against Karen Bass in the last election, and he was kind of seen as like the, maybe not so much Donald Trump, but he's a real estate guy, a business guy, a very successful real estate and business guy. He's a Democrat, so he wasn't a Republican running against her. He was another Democrat, but he is a much more moderate, much more common sense Democrat. He's pro law enforcement, so he's not radical at all. And yeah, he's a real estate guy, so he has that business mindset. But unfortunately, Karen Bass won and he didn't. But it stinks because, especially now, you know, he's been on the forefront talking about a lot of these fires and helping out. But I do think that you would have seen a much different response to these fires, and I don't think they would have been nearly as bad as they ended up being. And that's the problem, you know, the way that it is in California. You're never going to completely get rid of all the fires. It's just not going to happen. But what you do is you try to lessen the damage, and as much as those fires spread, that's what you try to control as much as possible. But I think, as far as I know, I think Rick Caruso might be running again. I don't know. Yeah, 2026 would be the next election. Has he, if anyone knows, has he, I can't remember if he said whether he's going to be running for mayor again, but he's definitely been on the forefront of a lot of these fires and a lot of coverage, and he's been extremely critical of Karen Bass. So we'll see. Moving along. Oh, wow. Okay. Somebody actually, before we move on, let's just go back to Karen Bass for just a second. Just a second, we'll go back to Karen Bass, the mayor of Los Angeles. Okay. The John Colbilt show, I don't know who that is, but he just retweeted a tweet from Karen Bass. So this tweet from Karen Bass is January 6th. This is a day before the fires. He says, this was from the mayor's account the day before the fires broke out. How was she unaware of the warnings of fire danger? Okay, let's see what she said. So this was Mayor Karen Bass. 10:38 p.m. on January 6th, 2025. She said there's, okay, so she retweeted a post from NWS Los Angeles that said, here's a little more details on the upcoming wind events, the strongest wind areas of LA, Ventura. So it was warning people about the wind. Karen Bass, the mayor of Los Angeles, retweeted that and said, there is an expected destructive and potentially life-threatening windstorm starting Tuesday morning through Wednesday afternoon. Red flag, no parking restrictions will go into effect in certain areas tomorrow morning. Stay safe, LA. So clearly she knew that there was a threat, that there was a potential danger in these winds. And I also remember the days leading up to the winds. I feel bad that I did this. I was just ignorant at the time, but also I'm not the mayor. I was actually kind of chuckling at the fact that they were calling it life-endangering winds. I just hadn't heard that before, but they were true. Those were the warnings the days leading up to the fires. Yeah, and here you go. Here are 4 examples of warnings from the National Weather Service. Los Angeles, warning for fire weather conditions from Tuesday. Yeah, she's got a lot to answer for. This is not good for Karen Bass. And I think if anyone's going to look bad on the investigations, it's probably also going to be her. And there was a letter that was written to her urging her not to cut funding by the fire department, which she did. Oh, okay, we'll go to that. So they're looking at, Donald Trump has been talking about laying off a bunch of federal workers. And starting tomorrow, they're going to start laying off thousands of IRS workers, up to possibly 6,000. Okay. And it's funny, the timing around this is rather interesting, I must say. Okay, so it says the U.S. Internal Revenue Service will lay off about 6,700 employees on Thursday. A person familiar with the matter said a reconstructuring that could strain the tax collecting agency's resources during critical tax filing season. The workers being cut are probationary employees who have typically been at the agency for less than 1 or 2 years and enjoy fewer protections than longer-term workers. The IRS has a total of roughly 100,000 employees. That's a lot of employees. The reductions at the IRS come amid a broader slashing of personnel across the federal government at the directive of President Donald Trump and Elon Musk, who is spearheading an unprecedented effort to shrink the bureaucracy. Like other agencies, the IRS was ordered last week by the Office of Personnel Management, which oversees federal hiring, to dismiss all probationary employees. But the IRS has taken a more careful approach than most other agencies due to concerns about squeezing resources with the April 15th tax filing deadline just 2 months away. The IRS remains busy for weeks after the deadline, processing returns and refunds for taxpayers. Roughly 6,600 probationary IRS employees will be kept on to work through the tax filing season, according to the person familiar with the matter, with staff engaged in customer service and taxpayer advocacy spared for now from the cuts. Some senior IRS executives remain concerned, however, about whether the agency will be able to process the returns in a timely and efficient manner, the person familiar with the matter said. The layoffs will impact a range of roles, including revenue agents, auditors, and IT specialists across the country, with workers in New York, California, Georgia, and Tennessee among the hardest hit, the person familiar with the matter said. Okay, so that's all we know so far. That's a long probationary period. Every company I've ever worked for, their like probationary period, well, maybe theirs is different. It's usually like a 90-day period where you can't use your benefits, and they can fire you for any reason without like severance or anything like that. Sorry if there's a little more trolls. I have to tell you guys, every live stream, the way that I'm doing these, they promote them out to other people. So sometimes which is good because it goes out to more people, but you will see a lot more trolls. So if you see a troll, if I see them, I try to take them down. If you see them, just ignore them. It happens. Hi from San Antonio. Speaking, hold on, you'll like this. Speaking of federal employees, I forgot I had this video. This is not an IRS agent, but I tried really hard to feel bad for this person. I really did. But you'll appreciate this.
Who had one. Hello.
Sorry for the computer screen. So this is, well, she'll tell you where she works.
Hello. I was a federal worker who had 1 month left of her probationary period, and today I was told that I will be terminated at some point this week. I'm utterly devastated. I'm confused because my recent performance evaluation was exceptional and I got upwards of $1,500 as a bonus because my performance was so good. And this was my dream job. And it's just being taken away by an administration who doesn't care about science. It doesn't care about people who might be homeless with their dog now. They don't care about our species that we're trying to conserve. That's exactly what my job was doing. It was just to assess habitat conservation for species for a 55-year habitat conservation plan. We should all be so mad right now. We should all be crying like this because I'm just devastated.
I'll be honest with you, I almost started to feel bad for her until she said, for an administration that doesn't believe in science. She lost me at science. It's not that, my dear. It's also your salary is being paid by people's tax dollars. People are struggling to put food on the table and they're paying your salary. So this is actually pretty cool. Trump designated basically drug cartels as foreign terrorist organizations, and that essentially means that if he does that, that means that you can use military force against them. You can also use drones to try to find them. So this is good news. That means they're going to be going after the drug cartels a lot more aggressively, which unfortunately they got a lot more powerful under Joe Biden.
A list of drug cartels that they designate as foreign terrorist organizations, including Tren de Aragua. The president revealed what this designation could mean. Roland.
The cartels are now going to be seen as foreign terror organizations. Would you think about ordering U.S. Special Forces into Mexico to take them out?
It could happen. Stranger things have happened.
There's a hint. Cochise County, Arizona Sheriff Mark Daniels joining us now. All right, Sheriff, they're terrorist organizations. Are we going to go after them militarily, as the president suggested we might?
Oh, I think so. Good morning, Stu. I think there's a very high chance of that. You know, these cartels it's way overdue. Why we haven't gone after them and made them a focal point amazes me. And I'll say this. You know, you think about what they're doing. They're killing Americans every day with fentanyl. Thousands, up to I think 100,000 Americans die every year of fentanyl, and they're the main producers of that. You look at the exploiting of children, the death, the gangs, you name it. These cartels are a threat to this country. We need to go after them. I think President Trump's right on target by doing it.
But do you think that the government, the authorities in Mexico, would okay American military attacks inside Mexico on the cartels? You think the Mexican government would go for that?
I'm not saying they're going to be happy with it, but I'll say they need to do it, and they need the partnership. Let's be real. One of the things we say down here is the cartels and corruption there in Mexico is like a cold form of government to their government. There are great people live in Mexico, but this cartel down there is a threat to them as much as it is to America. It's to their best interest they work with this country, and let's get rid of them.
On that note, Mexico has announced that they just seized more than 400 pounds of meth in the cartel heartland of Sinaloa. They also confiscated 3,000 gallons of chemicals used to make that kind of drug. That's $40 million worth of meth. You think Mexico did this because they're feeling pressure from Trump?
Oh, definitely, Stu. There's no doubt about it. And they're doing the job they need to do, and that is stop it in their own country, in their own backyard. They'll have support from this president, this administration, for whatever they need. DOD's down there. The Department of Defense is already set up in my county here. We're working side by side with them to do things. And I'm telling you, we're all working together for a common cause. And that is to protect the homeland and protect America.
Nice. Yeah, it's good news. And I saw someone said it's so good to have, I saw someone in the comments say it's so good to have a president with guts again. Yeah, I completely agree. It very much is. We're not used to seeing it. We've seen so much weakness the past 4 years. And like I just said, that's how the cartel got so powerful over the past 4 years also. They've grown exponentially. They basically had complete control over our southern border. That's who ran our southern border, was the cartel. And it's really dangerous. They're even going after some of our border patrol agents, shooting at them and stuff like that. And this is actually really alarming. I just saw on Libs of TikTok, they arrested some smugglers on the border that were actually dressed like border patrol agents. Yeah, so Border Patrol agents in Arizona arrested 3 migrant smugglers. Okay, I have it right here, the Daily Mail. Okay, so Border Patrol agents in Arizona arrested 3 migrant smugglers who were dressed up as Border Patrol agents, trying to smuggle 24 migrants into our country. That's from the Daily Mail. Wow. Yeah, agents in Yuma, Arizona nabbed 3 men, 2 Americans and a Mexican, just days before Trump's inauguration as they tried to impersonate Border Patrol to smuggle 24 migrants, mostly Mexican, into the country. The desperate measure came as Yuma, a hotbed for illegal crossings at the height of the nation's crisis, has become a ghost town as stricter policies and enforcement brought out by the new Trump administration go into effect. It's been really quiet, one local Border Patrol agent, speaking on the condition of anonymity, told the Daily Mail. He said 2021 and 2022 was very busy. So 3 smugglers are facing federal charges over the impersonation scheme, which saw them modify a white Ford F-150 truck to resemble a Border Patrol K-9 vehicle and stash the migrants. When Daily Mail visited the property in early February, the drab gray-painted house was deserted, and neighbors say they hadn't seen anyone there since the bust. To elaborate, deception even included fake uniforms, which were seized in the raid on the property on January 8th. So not only did they have Will the Mexicans arrive in boats? Oh, they arrive in boats too. So they had a fake F-150 and fake uniforms. Other migrants have been caught wearing camouflage to hope they don't get caught. 4 migrants were busted by Border Patrol after sneaking in through dunes and getting picked up by an American smuggler who attempted to flee with them in a truck, damaging 2 government vehicles in the process. All 5 are now behind bars. That is wild. I think I got rid of some of them. I'll never understand people that just go on to like how miserable of a person do you have to be to go in someone's life, just going on random lives and just saying just nasty things. Oh boy. Oh, this is interesting.
Jurisdiction that we've had gangs like Terminated. The bottom line is sanctuary jurisdictions do not keep citizens safe. They only keep criminal illegal aliens safe. It's because of sanctuary jurisdiction that we've had gangs like Terminated build a foundation in the United States. They started in many of these sanctuary cities because they knew that the local law enforcement would not work with ICE.
Interesting. Well, you know what's funny? Not to go backwards a little bit, but I forgot to mention this about Doge and the IRS. So Elon Musk and Donald Trump were floating this idea of sending American taxpayers each a check for $5,000 as sort of like a little like refund or money back for all that money wasted. And I'm sitting there thinking, so are you guys going to clean up the rolls before you send all that money out? How are they going to know that those are all citizens if that's what they do, if that's how they do it? That won't happen, just a thought. Well, I lived in Los Angeles during the pandemic, and it's one of those areas where people move a lot. Like, it's not weird for someone to move like once a year. People just move a lot. It's a very transplant-y type place. And not only did I work there, or not only did I live there during the pandemic, it was also during the 2020 election. The mess that was mail-in ballots and the stimulus checks, I would not trust them sending anything out in that manner, ever. It was just a mess. Okay, since you've asked about 1,000 times, Carter Galvin, I hope you have a wonderful day. Carter Galvin, I hope you have a wonderful day. do I plan to return to California? Rents may go even higher. I don't plan to return to California. At least nothing is, I don't plan to return there. Ironically, I will be there. Thank you. You're welcome. That was the first time. Okay. You're welcome. Hopefully that was okay for you. Was it Carter Galvin? Carter Galvin. Hope you have a lovely day. We need to start renting chickens. Oh, okay. Sorry, I got distracted. Oh, I will be there. I'm flying in on, I think, March 1st or March 2nd. I don't know. But I'm flying to Los Angeles. I'll be there for a week to help with disaster relief. I don't know exactly what I'll be doing. I know that I'll be going and helping people at their homes, helping homeowners recover like personal and sentimental things from the rubble, so that from the debris. So that's what I'll be doing. I'll be there for a week. Ow. But I don't plan on going back to live anytime soon, at least. Yeah, it's gonna be a mess trying to find, especially like renting an apartment or anything like that. It's gonna be a mess trying to find an affordable rental, because all those people that lived in housing, they're gonna look for rentals while they're rebuilding, if they rebuild. I lived in West Hollywood. Mighty honorable. Oh, thank you. You know what though? This is gonna be. It sounds like I don't want to get ahead of myself here, but it actually sounds like this is gonna be easier than what I did in North Carolina. In North Carolina, we were doing tree work, so we were like carrying out giant branches and removing trees. So this is, you're looking for people's items, so it sounds like this will be a little bit easier on the, a little bit less physically challenging. You probably contributed more than FEMA did. You know what? You might be right about that. You might not be terribly wrong, actually. Okay, last piece of news. Okay, and this was confirmed. I haven't seen that this has happened yet, but this was confirmed by the White House press secretary. And so this is from Bill Malhusian at Fox News. This was also confirmed by the White House press secretary. So it says, per White House official on background, later tonight, President Trump will sign an executive order designed to terminate any and all federal taxpayer benefits going to illegal immigrants. The order will direct every federal agency and department to identify all federally funded programs currently providing any financial benefits to illegal aliens and take corrective action, ensuring that any federal funds to states and localities will not be used to support sanctuary policies or assist illegal immigration. Additionally, the executive order will mandate improvements in eligibility verification to prevent federal benefits from going to anyone in the U.S. illegally. A White House official tells Fox News the executive order will show Trump is committed to prioritizing that federal public health benefits go towards American citizens, including veterans. And here's a little bit more on, hello Ireland. Lovely to have you here. Ow, I like Ireland. I've never been there, but I like the idea of it, and I like the Irish. Okay, it says, okay, more via White House official on background. This is coming from Bill. Under current welfare laws, specifically the Personal Responsibility and Work Opportunity Reconciliation Act of 1996, illegal aliens are generally barred from welfare programs, but if they are granted parole, they are classified as qualified aliens and become eligible for various welfare programs on a sliding scale, with full eligibility granted within 5 years. The Congressional Budget Office estimated that the Biden sorry about that. Okay. The Congressional Budget Office estimated that the Biden administration open borders agenda, which sought to provide Medicaid-funded emergency services to illegal aliens, has cost federal and state taxpayers more than $16.2 billion. The Biden administration gave billions in taxpayer dollars to left-wing groups that facilitated mass illegal migration and provided legal services to challenge deportation orders. In addition, since 2021, more than $1 billion has been allocated through the Federal Emergency Management Agency, FEMA, to illegal aliens. $1 billion allocated through FEMA that is supposed to go towards Americans. Somebody asked, I thought this was interesting. Somebody asked Bill, what does it mean to give parole to an illegal alien? And he said, humanitarian parole. More than 500,000 alone flew into the U.S. as a part of Biden's CHNV, Mass Parole Migrant Flights Program. And that doesn't include CBP 1 at paroles or catch and release paroles at the border. Biden used parole more than any administration in history. Okay, someone else asked, sorry, this is an interesting conversation. Someone else asked, can those paroles be voided? And Bill said, yes, they can, and Trump admin has already given green light to DHS and ICE to begin that process. It's going to be a very interesting few years, folks. Ochi Nochi 25 or whatever your name is, be quiet. I said happy good day. I should put him in timeout. I said good day. I said good day. It was all for nothing. You say you're nice. You give someone an inch, they take a mile. Are the trolls back? Well, not now. I put him in timeout. He wasn't really a troll. He was just being annoying. I am so upset. This is my town. They do make the channel. That's why I tell people, I'm like, most of them, he said trolls make the channel grow. No, they do. That's why a lot of them I'll keep, but sometimes I just you gotta get rid of them. I am upset at your toxic masculinity. Well, you know what they say, I just made it up. They don't really say this. Weak men make masculine women. That was a weak man. Actually, that was very sexist of me. I just assumed the gender. It could have been a woman. I have no idea. I'm pretty sure it was a man. It's funny because they say, I was born in the wrong body. Oh yeah, I can always tell if it's a man or a female. Always. Female brain, male brain. I can usually tell. I can usually tell.
Over the past month, we have but all of these scams have now been terminated. In addition, over the past month, we have effectively eliminated the U.S. Agency for International Development, which was funding much of this lunacy. We virtually shut down the out-of-control CFPB, escorting radical left bureaucrats out of the building and locking the doors behind them. What they were doing was so terrible. Where they were spending the money was so terrible. What we haven't looked at yet, but will be, is does the money come back to them? Because nobody can be stupid like that. And they're not stupid. They're smart, actually. And, why are they doing that? Does money come back to them? So we'll figure that out pretty easily, I think, and quickly. But I've ended all of the so-called diversity, equity, and inclusion programs across the entire federal government and private sector, and notified every single government DEI officer that their jobs have been deleted. They're all deleted. But all of these scams have now been terminated. In addition, over the past month, we have effectively eliminated the U.S. Agency for International Development, which was funding.
Trump went from you're fired to you're deleted. You're deleted.
Business leaders on earth are now racing to invest in the United States. Since November, DMAC has announced plans to invest $40 billion in the U.S., creating at least 10,000 jobs. SoftBank has announced investments of between $100 and $200 billion, creating at least 100,000 American jobs. Oracle and OpenAI and SoftBank are now collectively committing $500 billion to keep the United States on the cutting edge of artificial intelligence, and so many more. I mean, so many companies that want to come to the White House and have a little news conference all the time. I said, why don't you just announce it? But they want to come, and I'll do that. I don't mind doing that. I say anytime they want to go 10 billion or more, I'm there. 10 billion or more.
Aloha, we have Hawaii.
the fuck my money is going. And
sorry about the language. This is someone that's mad. I think we all feel this way.
shit, I don't know about y'all. Any man out here that can sit down with me and tell me where the fuck my money is going, and he can show me that my money is not going in the right places, is not my fucking enemy, bro. He is not my enemy. He's trying to put me on game. You feel me? Stop talking about race. It's not a race thing. It's them motherfuckers against all us. People, they will lock you up if you don't file your fucking taxes. Basically, they're saying, you're gonna give us your fucking money, motherfucker, and we're gonna go buy condoms. We're gonna go get some coffee goddamn cups for our employees who's at home. If you don't give us our money, we're gonna lock you up, motherfucker. Why ain't y'all people living? Why ain't...
A lot of people are angry. Lots of angry voters. All right, you all. Well, that is everything I have for you tonight. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you later. Have a really good evening. And I'll see ya. Bye, you all. Bye-bye.